Yo, there's a whole group of weirdos who are like winning as our elders. I be forgetting that sometimes. Like this status quo, they be always being, uh, yeah, status quo is always being promoted the most, so loudly, and it's always a thing where previous generations of status quo, yeah, man, they're pushing up the new generation of status quo. But a man like me has to remember because the weirdos don't take the limelight, like they're not in the spotlight. They don't take center stage, but they still win. They still win, and some of them win so big, so big is they don't even want us to show us that they won, because it's gonna influence the generation to be like, yo, I don't need to follow status quo. I could just be me. I could be a full blown weirdo and just turn here in weird energy and win. I don't have to like compromise nothing about myself to align with nothing called standards and status quo and run of the mill. I could literally just be me in every gosh darn category or silo or whatever way you want to break down how you see yourself. I could just be me. Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. Yeah, bro. And maybe it would have been easier for us to understand this if mediums didn't really like change the way it did at the times that it did. Like if TV evolved directly into the internet, so we saw all like the celebs that we what's the best way to say this? Like all the folk that we saw as famous transition into the internet roles all at the same time. Like who did good, who ain't doing good, who and like they were all forced to transition versus kind of how it happened where there were some early adopters, but most of the early adopters were like the most thirsty folk who ain't get their just due from the regular industry. So a lot of them weren't really interested in breaking down barriers, but just putting up new forms of barriers that they were in charge of, until those generation of internet gatekeepers kind of just like flex their muscles enough to unpack or for us to unpack what it was really going on. The new generations of companies and da da da. And then you saw like the big wave, almost like I don't even know how you would call it, just a wave, just a huge wave of celebrities just coming onto the internet as like, oh, we no longer make money in old media. We only make money in new media. So we got to make an Instagram page. We got to be on Twitter. We got to da 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 da. Right? We have to have our own websites. This. So you can't really like get an unbiased perspective of what the internet is for the weirdo or for the status quo. We kind of had to explore it and figure it out. Couldn't just on like day one be like, okay, if I want to watch science or whatever, I go this channel. Okay, so maybe I should explain the parallel. But on regular TV, right, you know that the main characters or the normal status quo type people are on the prime time slots, right? They're on the prime time slots for television. They're on the most popular shows at the most popular hours for TV, right? And you get a sense of those are the people we idolize or those are the people we see as A-listers. Those are the people who everyone worships, right? And you're like, well, gee, how are you even speaking on this topic in this way? Like, why are you acting like we should have this reverence for A-list celebrities or whatever? I'm not saying we should. I'm just speaking to the fact that it existed in that format. I was born and raised to see the world that way. Like I didn't know the world of the 60s or the 50s or the 40s. I knew the world that was basically propagated by the 80s, right? So I was born 88. By the time I'm growing up, whatever is happening in the 90s and the 2000s is clearly a trend of the 80s. So all I'm saying is we had TV, we had radio, we transitioned to internet, but not all of the oligarchs, but many of the oligarchs did not see the internet as something to jump into right away. I guess they weren't given the signals by the higher ups as no, internet's the next phase. So prepare yourselves. Get your Instagram accounts, or I guess it would have been MySpace at the time. Not every musician was getting a MySpace. You get what I'm saying? Like, they didn't think it was mandatory to have a MySpace. But for my generation, creating music is like, yeah, I need to have a MySpace. It was mandatory for us. So there's a shift there where you personally are coveting things for your career or for your idea of life that the people in front of you who have achieved things that you want to achieve do not value. And it creates a shift. It creates a ceiling, actually, when you're trying to do things on a platform or on a medium that folks before you don't even rate and don't think means anything. But then you sit back, you say, okay, well, bun the internet don't mean anything. I guess it's still about television, radio, and all these things. But then you see slowly but surely it is about the internet, and it becomes about the internet, and all the old forms of radio and television are now revolved and imagined on the platform of the internet, whether it be through podcasts and yeah, podcasts. Podcasts basically replaces radio, and podcasts literally replaces television. Like the talk shows and radio talk shows, and then shows where you're just hearing about this or hearing about that. I used to watch a TV show where they were just counting down video games. You want to know why? Because I never had a video game system myself. I was just watching it to see gameplay. I would love just seeing them like play certain games that I know I would never get the chance to play. I think it was called Video Arcade Top 10 Countdown. Yeah, I didn't watch it all the time, but that show and another show, I remember sitting watching them sometimes and feeling like, oh, I would love to play that game, like Mega Man or the simple bubble blaster where you have to like choose where the bubble go, like that game now you could just download on your phone. But at the time that was like, oh, what system is that? Is that a Nintendo? Okay, if I buy the Nintendo, then I still have to get the game. My mom's not buying me the Nintendo, much less the game. Like, so I was just, oh, you just coveted it. Is what the TV promoted to me, right? Now, Fortnite, you can play it on your phone, play it on your PlayStation, play it on, like, the thing has evolved so much, right? But it's still the same thing. It's still the same. Still the same desires that it's pulling from. It's still the same emotions that it's pulling at. And for me, I just don't. I think I lost the plot of this clip right now because I know I was talking about the celebs. I was talking about like rules and. But yeah, I lost the plot. I don't know what my point is right now. I guess the point ultimately is like, okay, just do you. You don't have to worry about aligning in any type of category, or it wasn't so much to do you to align in any type of category, but there will always be a category for you, even if it's not in the forefront. Because yes, the point I was getting to is that all these new mediums kind of shifted up everything, and I just didn't see some of the folks who I was rating, right? Because Video Arcade Top 10 dude, the host of that show, that would have to be a weirdo, like, in the context of all the other shows, like The Simpsons and regular shows I was watching. The guy who would host Video Arcade Top 10 was clearly a nerd, like a video game nerd. And back then, video game nerds weren't streamers making millions of dollars like how we see them now. Video game nerds were video game nerds. Right? So I guess he was just the king of video game nerds and had enough of a coolness factor to him that they're like, okay, let him be a host. But I don't know what he's doing today. I don't know if he's broke. The some of the people who were like the VJs, so the video jockeys, they would be the hosts talking in between TV shows, especially for on the kids channels on YTV specifically. They would call them PJs back when I was young. PJ Phil, PJ this, PJ, like I don't know why they were called PJs, but whatever. They would host their different segments. The Zone, whatever. I don't know where is the Zone nigga? I think I could find him on Instagram probably, but what is he doing today? He's not, for him to have been such a large aspect, and I think, yeah, here we go, we're getting to the point now. For these people to be such a large aspect of my childhood consciousness, as in I come home every day and I'm watching them. Every day I go sit home and I'm watching Phil. Every weekend I'm seeing this or TVO, I'm seeing these people, right? And these are essentially, not to say these are the weirdos, because I'm not saying every person who's hosting these kind of shows are weird. But if they're not prime time slot, you know they're fighting to try and get that. They're trying to fight to be up to that. And then you don't see what happens to them when the whole medium shifts. And only like the top 10 niggas make it into the internet age. Right? Like, even Lunette, Big Comfy Couch. She hasn't tried. Okay, whatever. She probably all retired and has her money chilling and da. But that's the point. Like, you're just not seeing the things transfer over. You're not seeing that life transfer over. And I'm not saying that I need to know what these celebs are doing in order for me to understand that I can pursue something away from the status quo. But if it's not clearly, blatantly shown to you that these other offshoot careers went this way, went that way, then now when it translates into this internet age and you're not already the mainstream guys, you're not already the top, like, status quo niggas, it's easy to discourage yourself. To not understand that, bruh, even more so, there will be avenues for the weirdos. You just didn't understand that there were always avenues in the first place. Discourages yourself. Stunt your growth. But wake up to that. You see people streaming and all they're doing is like folding paper, making origami live, and people's watching it and liking it. Or all they're doing live is eating. Or all they're doing live is telling your fortune, or talking about horoscopes, or hating on women, or hating on men. Like, you could literally do whatever, talking about computer chips. Like, I see ones where they literally open Pokemon packages, cards, and that's all they do is just, oh, okay, let's go through. Oh my gosh, we got a Pikachu and a Raichu. So it lets me know, like, I could literally turn anything into a content. Is just the shame. The shame. The status quo is the shame level. Because if what you're doing is, if you think what you're doing is below status quo, then you're going to have shame for it. If you think what you're doing is above status quo, then you will have pride. So I guess now all of this is the complexes of figuring out how I can change my internal metric for status quoing. So whatever I feel like doing, I can find the pride in it and just move consistent, because that is literally all that's required now in this day and age, is the consistency factor. That's it. In the TV land, consistency factor was manufactured through the corporations and their budgets. Consistency factor is just your mental fortitude to keep going. That's it. Whether if you're homeless, it doesn't matter. You take out your phone and keep going. You just moved out, or you upgraded camera, you don't have it, doesn't matter, keep going. You got no legs today, keep going. Because corporations, when they do full season, They don't care that they had low viewership for the first half of the season. They already have a contract to put out the rest of the episodes. So you care about things that even the big guys don't care about. They don't care if their show gets no views. Obviously, they care quarterly when it comes time to the reports. And yes, you should care quarterly or at some point in time when you can go and look at your analytics. But in terms of creating and pushing out the content, that's your job. Do it. Get it going. Get it going. And something I'm waking up to, right? Not that I didn't know I need to put that level of work in, but the complex of being able to put myself in that mentality to get that work done. That's what I'm waking up to. Okay. Yeah, we're good.